Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1363 of our daily content grind, and congratulations to all the new Switch 2 owners out there. I have to wait a week for mine to get mailed to me because Target, I don't know what they're doing. But point being is, I don't get to join in on the fun and games yet, so I have more time to mess around with all the toys that have been coming in, including this set that you see on screen, which is way before we were expecting it. So, the two new 2-packs for the Wreck and Doom collection are now in. People are getting them in hand. And I feel like these sets were always exciting for people in just little pockets. Like one, maybe two of the characters, but very few people down for all four. Now, this set, I feel like this is like the set to get if you're only going to get one. The Spinister mold's really good. And he comes with his 2 Target Masters finally. So he's now a complete Spinister, which is super cool. Meanwhile, that Diaclone Top Spin has been years in the making. I have been waiting for that for so long now. I love that mold. That mold is so much better than it has any right to be. And I really like the red and blue color scheme he's got going on. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant 2-pack. It's the other one that I think goes under the radar. Now, Fissatron definitely has his fans. If you have read Last Stand of the Wreckers, you're probably a fan of Fissatron. Don't blame you. I'm right there with you. But that does kind of leave that one, that one that's just kind of like left in the dust, and the one that I feel like is kind of getting the short end of the stick here, and that is Carnivac. He is mostly a repaint of Wolfwire, or a Weird Wolf, depending on which release of that particular toy you got. He is one of those, it's good enough, it fills in a slot type releases. They gave him a new head, they gave him a new tail weapon and a new gun, which feels like the most minimum of changes they could have made. The chest is exactly the same, even though it's nowhere close to his correct chest. The color placements are off, because, they have to prioritize different things, like the wolf mode and the robot mode. Like, it's really just not made to be Carnivac. Like they even like painted over his actual sculpted in eyes. They didn't even change that. Like it's a bare minimum type repaint to just kind of give you a Carnivac just to say they did it. And I can understand. It's a Beast Pretender. Beast Pretenders are some of the least utilized Transformers in the entirety of the franchise. Doesn't mean they're without use, though. So, first off, you saw the title of the video. Obviously, we're going to be defending Carnivac today. But let's take a look at where we started here. We can go ahead and look at his bio from this G1 toy. A cunning smile is more devastating than the fiercest weapon. Okay. A growling, howling, mad dog destroyer. See, yeah, so his intelligence is a 5, so that kind of suits. Commits abominable acts with unrelenting glee, always smiling even in battle. And the rest of it is just armament stuff. That's all you really get for personality off the toy. He just comes off as like a grinning psychopath. That's really all that they gave him as far as a toy bio, which is really unfortunate. Really unfortunate. And because Pretenders in general are not the most popular of characters, we just kind of see Carnivac as filler for most of his existence. Like here he is in Dreamwave. There he is. Like, he's there. He's amongst the other. He's with the Decepticons. He's with Starscream. So, yeah, obviously they're going to use it. No. Cram him in the back. He's there to fill a gap in the lineup. That's it. In Regeneration 1, he is, again, just kind of there to be fodder. Just someone there for an Autobot to shoot. And then in the most recent time you've seen him, yeah, he already got killed off to make Shredhead look cool. Carnivac don't last long in a lot of modern depictions. I think IDW was the closest to actually using him for something. He actually has some scenes. He's one of those that he has a little bit of like a turning point moment to his character, where he actually comes to the rescue and is one of those that kind of like watches on and mourns for Springer afterwards. So they use him a little bit, but would you believe that turn where Carnivac goes from like watching on the sidelines to actually participating, essentially just coming to the Wrecker's aid and being one of those that's mournful when Springer's holographic message is being played? Would you believe that's actually based in his original characterization? We'll get that in a bit. The one place where you would have seen him in any G1 fiction was going to be Marvel, and that is for a Soul episode where Spike is separated from the control helmet that lets him use Fortress Maximus, so they take advantage of it, him and Snarler, I might add, the two Decepticon beast pretenders, to try and take out the Giant. It doesn't go well. This is the only issue they appear. Remember, in the Marvel US run, it was a requirement for every toy to appear at least once because it was there to market the toys specifically. So a lot of times these characters would just pop in, pop out just to get used and then never seen again. And this is one of those times. And that is why we have to move to the Marvel UK run for this. The way the Marvel UK comics worked is they were released on a much faster schedule. As a result, a lot of times they were in black and white. Only a few panels were colored, and they were run in much shorter stories in those panels. But they wedged themselves in to the Marvel story, which meant they had to use a lot of the underutilized characters that even the Marvel comics couldn't touch for various reasons, and weave stories with basically the leftovers. It's one of the reasons why Simon Furman is looked upon so highly by Transformer fans, because he did a lot of work to make sure these stories worked within the Marvel comics. So what we see here actually happens not at the beginning of Carnivac's existence in these stories, because we have to go to his original debut in the comics, which happens in the UK run. So he's part of the Mayhem Attack Squad, which is the Decepticons' answer to the Wreckers, and they only appeared in the Marvel UK run until modern comics started making them a thing. Carnivac was on the team to go help eliminate Galvatron, who had come from the future and was being too disruptive, even for the Decepticons at the time. So threatening was future Galvatron that it was deemed necessary that the Mayhem Attack Squad needs to cooperate with the Wreckers in order to eliminate him. And then, of course, under orders to eliminate any of the survivors from the Wreckers. So this strike team not only includes Carnivac, but Catilla, which might confuse some of you because you're going to go, wait, that's the Autobot pretender. Give it a minute. So the storyline here is they were going off to battle Galvatron. However, that Galvatron also had a clone of Megatron under his command, meaning you're fighting both Galvatron and Megatron. There were not a lot of survivors. Out of the Mayhem Attack Squad, only Catilla and Carnivac survived the encounter, which doesn't leave a whole lot to finish off those missions about, like, eliminate the remaining Wreckers. As you can see here, Carnivac's just kind of ready to carry out those orders and eliminate Springer. But there is a warrior bond now. They refuse to do it. Now they have gained this respect for Springer and his, battle prowess, to the point where, no, they ain't gonna do it. So they break off. They actually do not carry through with their orders. And eventually, they do end up back with the Decepticons. They meet up with Snarler, our other pretender Decepticon. This is the point where they actually get their shells from Scorponok, all three of them. And that is when they are actually sent on said mission to go after Fortress Maximus, with the UK storyline explaining that Catilla was watching over the battle but not actually participating. This fun way where you have to start weaving everything in together, right? After this, after the failure to defeat Fort Max, Karnavac is thinking back to the encounter with the Wreckers and Springer and thinking, like, maybe it's better if we actually, because at this point, they're basically abandoned. Scorponok abandoned them. Any other Decepticon leadership did. They're just, the Pretenders are basically off on their own now. And Karnavac decides, like, the best thing we can do here is try to meet back up with Springer and make a formal alliance. Because Springer and Catilla trust him. Snarler is disgusted by this. Snarler is absolutely disgusted by this. But they seek him out anyway, in the midst of Skids creating a whole bunch of monsters by accident. So, against Snarler's wishes, Karnavac and Catilla come to the rescue, and they actually save the day. And this gives rise to a new team called the Survivors, made up of the surviving Wreckers and the surviving members of the Mayhem Attack Squad. This does not sit well with Snarler. We will get back to that in a bit. The important thing to note here is that Springer offers both of them a spot amongst the Autobots. Catilla accepts the offer. Hence why he's an Autobot. This, now it's kind of linking back to the way his toy was distributed. So, I told you, just give me a minute, we explain it. However, Karnavac isn't ready to make that jump. In fact, he will never make that jump. He decides he's going to join on his own terms as a Decepticon. It's an interesting concept because there's nothing like, he's not really a good guy, but he has this respect for Springer, and he wants to fight alongside Springer, but he doesn't necessarily want to, follow the Autobot mentality and ideals. So you have this interesting gray area character, and they actually show it. There are moments where, he's still, definitely not fitting in with the group, and he's trying. He's struggling to do it, but he is trying. And he knows he's not an evil person, but he also still has this need to fight. He has this Decepticon in him that he can't remove. I like that they show the struggle. For as much as we credit, Beast Wars Dinobot for things like this was almost a decade before him, and they were already telling this kind of story. Someone who really isn't cut out to be an Autobot, doesn't want to be an Autobot, but through honor, through, warrior bonds, he does want to follow, Springer. He does want to follow an Autobot commander. It's a very different story for the time, and again, one they just never touched on until we got to the mid-90s. Let's get back to Snarler. Snarler is so disgusted by these two joining the Autobots that he forms a brand new Mayhem Attack Squad specifically for the purpose of hunting the traitors down and eliminating them. And for a time, they're successful. Bludgeon successfully kills Catilla, very much to Karnavac's anger. And this, my friends, is where they made a mistake. So this is the point where Karnavac goes from interesting gray area character to Doom Guy. Catilla was his pet bunny, and now he is nothing but rage. You take a very skilled hunter and combatant, and you give him intention and hatred. Oh yeah, keep in mind, he's not fitting in with the Autobots. He respects Springer. Catilla's his friend. Catilla is his only friend. And again, I think it shows a lot when his best friend is an Autobot and he's a Decepticon, and they still get along. They are still best friends. And I love that. I love that. This is, again, more interesting to me than so many other characters they were coming up with. Carnivac becomes the one-man revenge squad. And he goes and hunts down the Mayhem Attack Squad on his own. Remember, they're not as good as the Wreckers, but they are the Decepticon answer to the Wreckers. So this is not a simple team. But he starts with the weakest link, which is Needle Nose, and murders Needle Nose. He's gone. And from there, you know what he does? You know what he does? He picks a fight with Bludgeon. You don't pick a fight with Bludgeon. It's Bludgeon. He's one of the strongest combatants in all of Transformers. Like, if you're going hand to hand, you don't mess with him. Carnivac does. Carnivac goes after him one-on-one and doesn't manage to kill him, but does manage to fight him to a standstill until the rest of the Mayhem Attack Squad come for backup. Now, they manage to blow up his beast mode, and they think, okay, we killed him. That's the end of the threat. No, all they did was kill the shell. Pretender, much, right? So, in the midst of that, Snarler is inspecting the body. So, as long as he's alone, Carnivac decides, might as well just crush and kill Snarler as well. 2 down. Oh, and this is about the part where the survivors, which are now the Earth Force, by the way, so we kind of switched over. We kind of switched teams at this point, and Earth Force is a thing. This is the part where they come in assistance. Not before we get one more kill. Because he also manages to scrap Spinister. Makes it far more ironic that these two came out in the same set of toys, right? The rest of them are captured, which would be the Decepticon Pretenders, Bludgeon, Octopunch, and Stranglehold, I want to say. And Catilla's decided to leave them alive, because out of any of them, these are the 3 that want to die a warrior's death. These are the 3 that want to meet their end in combat. Meaning, it's fine to capture them because that's even worse. That's worse than killing them. Why? Because he's an evil Decepticon. I love it. I love it. This man managed to beat the entire Mayhem Attack Squad on his own. Well, he had backup at the end to finish them off, but look at it. He cut down half of them solo. And he stood toe-to-toe with Bludgeon. You don't do that. And he did it all on Revenge Rage. That's pretty freaking epic. Like, you don't get that in Transformers. Like you imagine the episode of Beast Wars where it's just like Berserker Primal going after the Decepticon base and just taking them out one by one. Kind of like that. Except, again, a story done way earlier. Again, I'm drawing Beast Wars parallels to a story that already beat them to the punch on some of these things. What was cool about this character, what's cool about Carnivac, is they actually stuck to it. Like, he kept appearing with Earth Force, and they were shown getting along with the Autobots. You know, here's a team up he did with Skids in order to thwart Starscream. He's willing to work with a team now. Like, he's actually made companionship. And through all of this, he still calls himself an ex-Decepticon. He still will not call himself an Autobot. He's staying true to himself even if he is with the other team, even if his friends are not Decepticon anymore. It's a cool story. It's a really cool story for a character that was absolutely nothing in American media. And I think it's one that goes way, way underlooked. People do not give Carnivac enough credit. I look at that toy now, after doing this. Carnivac is a character I wanted to focus on because I keep seeing him coming up in my research. Like, when I'm looking up things like Decepticons who turned good, he comes up. When I started researching the Mayhem Attack Squad for a video, obviously he comes up. And just for whatever reason, he comes up, to the point where I'm just like, now I'm kind of fascinated. And now I have this toy in hand, and while I'm thrilled that he's got a brand new toy, now I'm looking at it and go, like, that's not good enough. That is not a good enough toy. Carnivac needs some respect put on his name. I need a new toy that's got that big gold chest that's the lower half of the wolf. I need that wolf cowl that's supposed to be behind his head. I need his visor to be his actual eyes in beast mode and not just like normal wolf eyes painted over white with the rest of it like a headband. I need this character to get his proper due. Obviously, none of the modern comics did. A little bit in IDW. They did play off of his past and kind of paid homage to it. I like that. But you had something here. You had like what we cherish in characters like Dinobot, like Starscream and Armada. We had in the late 80s with Carnivac. And we've never really done anything with it, and I'm kind of sad by that. So I'm giving him his due today. Justice for Carnivac. Super cool character. Not enough people know about, and now you know more about him. So, if you're on the Carnivac train way before this, please let me know in the comments below. I'm super curious. And thank you for this little rant that I had prepared for today. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.